And we are live. Thank you guys for keeping up with No Niggers. Here we're gonna do part four. This is the last, the last section. So, environmental justice provides direct solutions and indirect solutions in agriculture towards climate change, methane, fossil fuels, so vehicles, in adaptation, of livestock systems to climate change functions of grassland breeding health and housing by Hoving MWJ Steinson states that animal production is affected by climate change through emission of greenhouse gases. The solution is a combination of enabling infrastructure for agriculture development and introducing public-private cooperation into research programmers. So here we're letting other public-private corporations deal with supposedly the change. What we know it's still going to lead into critical human rights violation. One of the multiple aspects that distinct students often face is the student aspect. Adapting agriculture has led to adapting them in migration research. The student syndrome prioritizes on food system climate resistance and to improve food security. So here we cannot protect the human rights by saying food security if we are adapting animals to methane. So again, we are now excluding that. We are now degrading that 17% of infrastructure, of volume growth, of production, of tax cutting. So again, guys, we are not at an ecosystem just yet. Grassland is safe to assume the remnants provide protein for the grass. However, climate change and rainfall can affect the intensity and frequency of participation. So here, even climate change affects rainfall. So it's not beautiful anymore. We can't. Everything's becoming systemic. Even the animals, they're getting adapted to this systemic oppression. By understanding the measurable variables of urban green space will allow us to pinpoint the soil microbiomes, richness of soil. So here I want a student to say, okay, guys, this is a soil microbiome. This is rich soil. Let's not take it for granted. We're going to start doing this. Or we're going to place, we're going to start developing, we're going to place a green space here for health, meditation, and exercise. And from the information that we got from Salvador, we understand that he doesn't like black people. So we are going to benefit the least well off. What do they need? What do they ask for? We have to understand that. How can we speak to authority to understand what we have in jeopardy? So taking account for the quality of remnant habitats. So here we have animals. Animals can give us solutions. Yes, animals will allow for a direction of custom tradition of agriculture. Yes, we're going to have beef stew, and safe practice implementation of infrastructure and development in urban green space, thankfully. So Here we're going to have a safe practice. If we could get to the bottom line and understand, all right, guys, we're going to need men to go in these dangerous places and get that. It's no longer of a failed shove. You guys are going to get hurt and harmed. Sorry, that's weird. You guys are going to get harmed, not hurt. If you can hear me out there, hello. Anyways, so in conclusion, so methane fossil fuel production and agriculture wonders of vulnerable. So here we're no longer taking account the most vulnerable. It's not the persons that acknowledge that these harms from fossil fuels um, give birth defects to these mothers. Is Then get yourself out of that place, right? We're rational human beings. It affects the most vulnerable from the people that are doing whatever they can to get me in a position where I don't get fired, to get me in a position where I don't lose my job, where I don't lose my income, my education. They're the ones that are the most vulnerable. So generally chasing whitewash customs. So they're no longer chasing whitewash customs. Why? Because the students protect these people. They know what's at stake. The 1% or Mexican descent may require recognition to allow other Mexicans descent to understand the extension given to our nation. So this is an extension for medical marijuana. This is an extension to understand that we do have men, we do have people that want to exercise, that go to these parks, these urban green spaces to meditate. So urban green spaces and parks are benefited by the whites and affluent that contribute and engage in socialization. Dictate a place for myself to resolve issues seen in a white and affluent community. So here is the standpoint. But it's no longer a standpoint, it's socialization. So if we could get to the foreground, if we could get to the foreground and recognize the soil is at stake, we could help introduce conventional methods by China addressed by the majority resentment that it's later discussed in consequences. So we have three consequences by China, and how are we going to be compassionate about it? So these large patch index values, LPI, scope richness, account for the remnant habitats, will allow to for China to understand their withdrawal and the U.S. demand, or the U.S. withdrawal and China's demand for clean air pollution. So viewpoint anatomy for demolition and or scientific research of conventional methods of urban green space, infrastructure development, and cement production. So here we understand that there's opportunity for us to invest in ourselves, for ourselves. Human rights. These include civic. So civic means what can we do that benefits us as civilians, culture and economic. Are we allowed to speak race in the foreground? Are we allowed to have social rights accounted for? So civic engagement, guys. This is it. This is once we establish an ecosystem through social rights, and there's then we can discuss equality. We can discuss rights, economic growth. How's this infrastructure doing? What new technologies are we implementing that creates more benefits for humans? However, the least harm is the placement. And are these people, like the black people, are they willing to work at these factories and put their own lives at risk? So here we have mutual consent, mutual respect at the very least, by understanding these politicians' standpoints. Thank you guys. I appreciate you listening to my 1 hour lecture. If you have any questions, feel free to um, take in. We're gonna look at one of my class. We're gonna look at an older white man's here. This is Small Off-Road Engines by Dwayne Stevens. So, starting on January 1st, 2024, the sale of gas-powered blowers, mowers, and other small road engines will be prohibited in California. So, who started this? This must come from the capital of Sacramento. California Assembly Bill number 1346, air pollution. Small off-road engines will have a serious. Oh, so here the legislation is written to empower state air resource board to create measures that shift the usage of small off-road engines that burn fossil fuels to zero emissions. The sale of new. So here we're eliminating labor. I mean, we're Mexican. This isn't something you guys take for us. This is an appeal for climate change, and that appeal has already been addressed. So how I don't understand what Omatsui is doing in the United States. The bill focuses on curbing the emissions of these engines with language that focuses on protecting disadvantaged communities. So here again, how are we placing these communities? Are we even taking account for the animals? Right, guys? So here I understand why people go on strike, why they get ticked off. However, and when I mean people, I mean broad. It's like I have to pinpoint who's exactly the decision maker. Is the decision maker able to get mad? However, the costs associated with making these transitions will hit small businesses. So this is about business. This isn't about anything else. Many, I don't even think business corresponds to Chinese. Many migrant and undocumented workers in this state. What the heck? Additionally, the California Senate is imposing statewide mandates on equipment whose greater impact a geography isolated to major metropolitan areas already burned with air pollution. So here, my Dwayne Stevens is talking about swift, certain, and severe execution. So this means policy making. All right, guys. There you have it. You have my side. and then you have the policy side. Thank you.